Yep. Thought this was a great team effort. The first half, I didn't think we did our job defensively. They shot 51 and 46 from the three. And, nobody's really done that to us this year. But in the second half, I thought we did a really good job. They shot 36 and 21. Butler and Williams, they did a good job of, keeping pressure on us. And, I think that that was a good test. And we can learn from that, both, on the floor and watching film, because I thought there was just as many mistakes that we made to allow them to do the things they did as much as they did the things they did. But again, for me, it was a good win. We're going into the break, and we come back out. We got one more non-conference before we start conference play, and so that for me is the biggest thing, is the build up of it. I can see us getting better. I can see guys getting more confident. And I see a lot of great signs of things to come. And, we can get some guys healthy. And just looking forward to not even the second half of the season, but after Christmas break. And then the fact that we had, look down at the stat sheet, we had 3 guys on 20 points. And it was how they got it. I thought Wasey didn't play that well in the first half. And then, the beginning of the second half, I didn't think he was playing as well. Now, in his defense, he had been out. He's a little under the weather, so he hadn't been here. But I think that the maturity and the growth in his game is that, he started going to the offensive glass and started getting rebounds, started getting steals and doing different things. In the past, he couldn't have impacted the game the same way, and that to me was the biggest thing for him. Lamar, I think Lamar, it's funny, man, because, he does a lot of good things for us, and, sometimes it's not always the pretty stuff, you know what I mean? But when I coach him, it's a lot of toughness and a lot of grit, and I think that he brings a lot to the team. And he reminds me of a couple guys that I've coached in the past, but he does a good job. And again, 10 assists, 1 turnover, we'll take that any day of the week. And then Akai, for a freshman, I trust him, and he goes out there, and, we're getting paid back for it. And, 20 points on 8 shots, got to the free throw line 12 times, made the free throws. So, he's really getting acclimated on the offensive end. There's some things you got to clean up with him on the defensive end. But, again, he's only played 12 games of college, so he'll get better in that area. And I thought his 15 minutes was huge for us. I thought he did a great job. Big-time block. But the things that he did, we needed him when he did it, and he had the second highest, plus-minus on the team, And so we got contributions from everywhere, and I was happy about that. And, again, it was a great team effort and something for us to, hang our hat on going into the break.
You've been very point guard centric since you've been here as a coach, developing guys, and seeing Lamar start to kind of blossom with what you want to do. Do you feel like it's just that getting those reps and getting that experience working with you in games and things like that that's starting to click for him?
No question. I'm hard on my point guards. I'm hard on guys that handle the ball just because I know what that assignment is. You got to be selfless. You got to do for everybody else. You got to take criticism when it probably ain't your fault, like it's part of the assignment. And, I think that Lamar, he's different than what I've had here before, because you could coach him before, but then when he knows that you believe in him 100%, you can coach him harder. And so those things, that's a quality that you would want in every player that you're able to coach. But, he just does such a great job. And, you look down the stat line and, it's nothing but, 100%, 3 for 3 from the three-point line, 5 for 5 from the free throw line, 98%, 1 turnover. And, 60% from the field. He doesn't take a lot of shots to do the things that he does, and I think that's a compliment to him as a player. So again, you can tell he's getting comfortable out there, and then more importantly, you can tell that the team is rallying around that as well.
You played 4 guys over 30 minutes in the court, and Kelly comes in with 22. Are you starting to find out, which guys you can really rely on and keep on the floor?
Well, I think a lot of the stuff that we're doing, I've been doing up to this point, is more personnel driven, who we playing against, and some of those minutes might be inflated a little bit, because you had Mo was hurt. Mo hadn't practiced all week, so he was, trying to get through it. He gave us what he could, but he was hurt all week, so he really didn't practice. And then you obviously don't have Bai, you don't have Jaden, and they played small. They weren't a really big team, so we could match up with them by playing small. But I'm comfortable with playing small, though. And I feel like I got a feel for everybody. I'm getting comfortable with that. I know what guys bring to the table. And, I think that, I experimented through the early season, kind of maybe, giving guys the same minutes to see what it looked like, big picture and long term. But I think that I know what buttons to push, so to speak, with the group that I have now.
Coach, just your thoughts on the second half defense. Obviously, I know you said first half probably didn't go how you wanted to, but they only shot 37% from the field in the second half. Just your thoughts on the second half defense.
I thought it was really good, and I thought it allowed us to get out and get easy buckets. That's who we are. We got to get stops. We got to get out and we got to run. Offensively, the last couple games we shot the ball well, so our total number looks really good. But in the times that we weren't shooting the ball well, we had to hang our hat on defense. So that's what it has to be. And as we move forward, in our last non-conference and then getting to ACC play, we're going to have to be able to guard the 3. We're going to have to be able to limit teams to one shot. We're going to have game rebound. And those are things I stress each and every day. The margins of the game, we got to win.
You go 26 for 30 from the foul line. How important is it for you to have guys like Fleming and Reeves who like to take it to the hole, who like to crash the boards, and they're the ones that are usually going to the line, and they're your 2 best foul shooters?
Oh, it's great. But I think that, even looking at the free throw shooting, and how I've been saying, we getting better. It's just hard to see at times right now, but we're getting better because we've struggled earlier in the year at the free throw line. And, as we're moving forward, guys are, Kawasi and Akai, they shot 20 of our 30 free throws, and then even Peyton, he missed 3 straight free throws last game. He was 2 for 2 from the line today. Lamar was 5 for 5. So, the fact that we're able to make shots makes the game easier. It doesn't put as much stress on the game if you can make free throws.
Do you have an update on Bai or Jaden and kind of their ETA for coming back?
I actually don't have a date. I know this was kind of the plan to get them through to this point so they can have the extra time, and then we got to ramp them up. If they can go coming next week when we come back, we got a window and we got to work. But the one thing we need to do is we need to make sure guys can get on the floor and they're going to be healthy. You know what I mean? I just feel like, we have to figure that out as a group, but then those players have to figure out, again, they're being asked to do things that maybe they haven't done in the past, man. And, the reality of it is that, it's a different era, so to speak. And, you got to figure out, how you can help the team, and maybe you can be healthy, but, maybe you can't do the things you did, but your presence. And I think that's the biggest thing that even at times we miss with Bai, for instance, his presence. I think he's a common influence, but he'll be fine. He was on the court the last couple of days, and, the biggest thing is just him getting getting comfortable, and getting some practice time underneath them. And it doesn't have to be like go full throttle, but I just don't like guys personally just coming out there and you just throw them to the wolves, and we don't have time for that, so to speak. So we do gotta speed him up. But starting Thursday, he will be doing some stuff, and we'll move forward to, looking for the date of the Duke game. It's kind of, I'm lying. Florida A&M, getting them. You gotta go test drive the car, before you take it on the freeway, so to speak. You know what I mean? You can't try to go on the freeway now, without test driving it. So, we're gonna test drive it, and then we're gonna take it on the freeway.
Coach, your season high in points today, 95. You also shared the ball really well, 21 assists on 30 made baskets. Just your thoughts on where the offense is currently. 3 different scorers also hit 20 points today as well.
It's coming. We still got to get better. But like I had been saying, we wasn't going to miss shots forever. I think that, the numbers and the guys that we had, they putting in work. It said that. And so just happy and proud of these guys as they, continue to, keep moving the trajectory upward, and you're seeing a lot of payback with a lot of these guys. I mean, there's a lot of 100% on this shooting chart. We pretty much everybody that took a shot, shot over 50%, and so we just haven't had that a lot, not just today, but since I've been here at Tech. So guys are getting payback for the work they've been putting in. We've been asking a lot of them, but they've been putting in work. It's been I think it was after, no, it wasn't Maris. Was it? When we played that game on Saturday, we had that window about 10 days. Like, we really put in some work, and you can see guys getting payback for it.
What's your thoughts on Cam? I mean, sometimes it seemed like he was forcing things. I don't mean necessarily today, but I mean kind of as he tries to acclimate himself to the offense. So what are your thoughts on where Cam is?
His attention to detail got to get better. And I think that, the thing about it is he got to lock in a little bit more. I'm asking, he shot the ball well some games, and some games he haven't, but I'm not necessarily going to take you out for making and missing shots. I just think, for a guy like him, if he get lost in some of the margins, the little things, and, just it'll help him. I think that he's going to the rim. He left a couple on the table today, and I think that'll open up. But I just really believe for him, like, he has to continue to buy into what we're doing, which he is. He just hasn't got any payback, but he has to continue to just keep working, and it'll pop open for him. He's to his credit. Through this time, he one of them dudes out of all these guys on the team, and I coach pretty hard. He allow you to coach him. The one thing about Cam is he never gives up on himself, and so that's what I actually love about him. If you remember, played in the second half, I put him right in. Hell, he ain't run up the court. He shot a 3. So the thing about it is that I can live with that. I can live with that. I want to hold you accountable for other things. Yes, I can reel that in. But what I need you to do each and every possession is defensively. I need you to know what we're doing, what ball screen coverage we're in. Are you guarding a shooter or a non-shooter? If a shot goes up, are you going to box the guy out? Like, that's what I'm looking for, more consistency on that end. And I think that if he gives more consistency on that end, because it's not the effort. He's playing hard. But he has to get more consistency with the attention to detail part. I think that'll bleed into him on the offensive end, and he'll start to have the success that we all know he's capable of having.
How much of a luxury is it to have 3 centers that you can trust to put in the game at any time?
Oh, it feels good, honestly, and especially in a game like this, knowing that Mo was knew he wasn't going to be able to play the minutes that he normally plays. So, you know, to have Peyton and to have Cole, and then Baez out as well, so you couldn't size down, you know, with him. Usually you would put him at the 5 in games like this, but, you know, it does. It gives you a comfort zone. And, you know, in all actuality, I was, you know, playing Cole and Peyton, and I was going to play Cole for a couple more minutes and then come back with P. And then they went small, so that's why I went small, you know, just so we can match up, you know, with their shooting.
All right. I think we're all good.
All right. All right. Yep. Have a Merry Christmas, man.